Hi guys, welcome to project-based learning session. Today we will discuss about a backend implementation of registration page. That is how the data will be inserted to database. Now I will hand over session to my teammate Divya.
Yes, in the last session, we have discussed the registration form design and the form validation. So in today's session, we will see how the data will be inserted into the database. Okay. So as I've told in the last session, whenever we click on the register button, so we have written the action is equal to register here. So it will go to the register. What is this register? Register is the servlet. So we will create a servlet now. For that, go to the source pages. First, we will create a package first so that we can list all the servlets under the same package. That's why I'm creating a package now. Package name is, go to Java package. Package name is controller. So under this controller, we will list all the servlets, whatever will be there in this project. So for now, I have to create a register.java, that is a servlet. So right click on the controller, new servlet. And what is the name? Register. Okay, you can see here the URL pattern is /register. That's why on clicking the register button, so where the control will go, it will go to this URL pattern /register. Click on finish. See here, this is the URL pattern. So how it will identify on clicking register? So it will identify this name. It will compare with this URL pattern. Yes, it matches. So it will come inside. Okay, so now the servlet is created. It is a Java file. So I will remove this unwanted comments. It's not required. And I will remove this also out.println. Okay. This thing, I'll keep it outside. It's not required here. See here, error is coming. Click on the red color. Okay, just give semicolon. Okay. Every try must be followed by either catch or finally. So I will give catch. Okay, try must be followed by either catch or finally. I will give catch and I will write the exception. And I will call e.print stack trace. Means if any error is there, you can track in the console here. In the output window, if any error will come, you will be listed here. Your error will be listed here. Okay, this is the first main thing you have to do, try and catch. Fine. Next. Similarly, we will create a model package also. So this is the servlet. First, I will explain. See, whenever we click on register, it will go to the register servlet. It will come here. Yes, it matches register servlet. Then yesterday I told like method is equal to post. Post means it will call do post method. Yes, see here. Two methods are there here. One is do get and one is do post. I have taken post method here. Method is equal to post. So it will invoke do post method. This method will be called. And what is there inside this method? It is again invoking or calling the method process request. Okay, where is the process request? Here. So inside this method, we are going to write a logic for the register. Okay, so this is the control of this. So we will minimize it. Okay. So before going to the logic, we will create one more package. Go to the source package. right click, new Java package, and I'm creating a package as model. Okay. And under model, I'm creating a class called registration new and Java class. So the name I'm giving it as registration. The name you can give it anything, whatever you want. Finish. See, the class is created registration 1. Okay, so this class is basically for creating a database connection, initializing the connections, querying a database, writing methods. So everything will be done in this class. That's why I've taken a package called model, and under that I will list all the classes, whatever is required for this project. So first class I've taken it as registration, and I will write the code for the registration and logic. Okay, so these are the main thing. One is 2 packages I have created, and one is servlet I have created, register.java, and one class I have created. Next. Okay, next we will create a database also. Third main thing is database. In this project, I'm going to use a MySQL database. Okay. How to create a database now? So I will show it in a simple way. So you can use either a query also, or else the simple way is right click here in the schemata tab, just right click, go to create new schema. Okay, I will give the project name as, database name as PetHub itself. See, you can see here PetHub database is created. Now, inside the database, we need tables, right? So we have to create a table now. Right click on the database, click on create new table, give the table name. So what is the table name? Now we are doing the registration, right? So for that, the convenient name I'll give it as, you can give register also, or some user data I'll give. The name as user data. And what are the fields required? One field is like one unique column we need for all the users. So for that, I'm taking as ID. Some unique ID should be there for all the users, right? So for that ID, I'm taking ID is a integer. Integer I'll take, and how many characters? We have to mention the length also. I will mention it as 10. Okay, and it must be not null, means it should contain some values. There should not be a null value in this column. Okay, some value should be there. That's why not null is checked. You can uncheck also, but this column I need it as a not null column. Okay, that's why I'm checking. Auto increment is also checked here. Auto increment in the sense it will increment automatically. Like whenever first user is registered, by default it will be 0. Whenever the first user is registered, it will be auto incremented, means 1. The ID column, the data in the ID column will be 1. Again, when the second user is registered, the data in the ID column will be automatically incremented to 2. That's why this column I am making it as a auto increment. Then it is unsigned also. Unsigned means it should not be a negative value. It should be always a positive value. And it is a primary key. See here, you can it is visible, I think, key. So this column, I have made it as a primary key. It is a unique, means there is no repetition values. Okay, this is the first column. Then again, what are the other columns? Name is there. We'll create name column. Name is not an integer, it is a varchar. So I think 45 characters are sufficient for this. If you want, you can increase the length. And it is also a not null. Next. Phone number. I will take the column name as phone. These are called as a column values, column name. See here, you are seeing, right, column name. So these are the column names of the table user data. So phone is also varchar. So maximum 10 is sufficient for the phone column, and it must be also not null. Next is email column. So email is, I think 45 characters are sufficient, and it is also a not null. Next, password. Password also, it is a varchar. Let it be 45 only, no issues, and it must be also not null. Next, re-enter password is not required. That is only for a validation, that's it. Now one more column, I'll take it as a date. Means on which date the user has registered. Okay, what is the data type of the date? Data type of the date is date time I'm taking. Means the values, how it will be stored is in the format of date and time. Both it will store. If you write only date will be stored. If you give only time will be stored. But I need both date and time. That's why the data type I am taking it as a date type. And it is also not null. So I think these column names are sufficient for the register table, user data table. Okay. So click on apply changes, execute. See, this is one more type of writing a creating a table. I told right initially, like you can create a table by using the queries also. So you can create a table by writing this query also. But this is a simple way of creating a table. You can right click here and refresh it. Click on this PetHub. See, user data table is created under the schema or database PetHub. Click on the user data. See, this is the statement or a query. We will call it as query. Select star from user data. So this is the symbol for executing this query. This one we call it as a query, and this is to run the query. See, whatever the columns I have created, it is there, right? And no values are there because still we have not inserted anything into this table. So 0 rows fetched, it is showing. Down you can see 0 rows fetched. Okay, so this is regarding a database. Fine. Now we will move to the class model class, that is the registration1.java. So here now we will write a code for a database connection. So the first step is we will create a global variables first. We will create a connection object. Connection is an interface. Connection con reference I'll take. See, here some error is coming. You can click on it. It is asking for a import. Add import for connection. So click on this. So it will be imported. So connection will be imported. So now the error went. So this is a global variable I'm taking, connection con. Then I need a session object also. So for that also, so I will create a global variable HTTP session SE I will take. So here also it is asking for import. Click on add import. See, it is imported and the error went. So these are the two variables I need. This is a class name. See, registration1.java I have created. So the class name with the same name it is created, registration1. Now the next step is I am going to create a constructor for this. Why the constructor is required? It is used to initialize the values or the objects, right? So for that, I will create a constructor. I will write the database connection code also, and I will initialize some values also here. What is the syntax for the constructor? Public constructor name should be the same as the class name, registration1. Okay, and I am passing the session object to this constructor because I have to initialize the session object inside this constructor. Okay, now this is the constructor is created. So inside the constructor, So whatever you, whenever you write any method or function, you just start with the try catch, so that if any error is there, you can easily identify. I will copy paste from here, catch. Okay, fine. Now here we will create a database connection. The first step of database connection is loading the drivers. So how to load the drivers? So if you want in detail, you can study it in a Google. So you can see like how the database connection is there, what is the HTTP session, what is connection, what is statement. So everything in detail you can learn in, or you can take the help from Google. Here, how much it is required, I'm explaining you. First is loading the drivers. How to load the drivers? Class dot call the for name method. Okay, class dot for name, and inside we will load the drivers. The syntax is com dot. I am using the MySQL database, and the driver I am using it is JDBC driver. Okay, JDBC driver. So this is called as. So you can comment it and you can write it down, like what is the meaning of this line. So you can comment it and you can write, so that in future, if you can see, you can easily understand what is the meaning of that line. So first step is I have loaded the driver, MySQL JDBC driver. Then second step is connection with the database. We have to make a connection, right, to a database. So that code I am connecting now. So for that only I have created a con object, right? Connection is the interface, con object I have created. So I will create a connection and I will assign that to a con object. So con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. Get connection is a method of driver manager class. Okay. Get connection is a method of driver manager class. So I'm connecting to a database and I am assigning that a connection to a con object. That's why this con I have made global inside this class, so that I can use this con object throughout this Java file. Throughout this page, I can make use of this con also and session also. Okay, that's why I made it as global initially. Next, so we'll write a connection now. The syntax is first is driver is JDBC colon databases MySQL colon server name we have to write. Now I'm using localhost server. So this is the server name. And colon, next is the port number 3306 and the database name. What is the database name? PetHub. PetHub is a database name. Okay, comma, you have to write the username and password of the database. So my username and password is root I have given. Okay, so here some error is coming. So you can check here incompatible types like java.sql. See, I have imported com.mysql.jdbc, but here the code is for java.sql.connection. That's why it is asking for incompatible type, and it is asking for a cast. So what you can do is you can cast the connection interface. You can do like this also. Okay, this is also fine, or else if you want. So it is asking for java.sql.connection, right? So you can, sorry, I will remove this. I have imported the first one actually. I will import the second one, java.sql.connection. See, error went. So like this, or you can check the errors and you can rectify it. So instead of using every time this java.sql.connection, java.sql.driver manager, and again some statement will come, result set will come, array list will come. So instead of writing every time import, so you can make java.sql.star so that it will import all the classes. Okay. So that no need to click on import every time. So star means it will take all the classes like array list, prepared statement, whatever is there. So all those things will be imported. Okay, so this thing is done now. What is this? We have made a connection to the database. So we will write it in a comment, connection with the database. Connection with the DBL, right? Okay. One more time, I'll tell JDBS is a API. MySQL is the database. Localhost is the server name. 3306 is the port number. PetHub is a database. Root is a username and root is a password. Okay. Next we will initialize this session. This session I have passed in a constructor as a parameter, right? This session I'm going to initialize now. For which variable? See, I've already created a global variable SC, right, of the HTTP session. So for that, I'm going to initialize. So these are the things we are going to do in a constructor. One is loading the drivers, connection with the database, and initializing the values so that I can make use of this con and st variables throughout this page. Okay, this is about the database connection. And one more important thing is, in order to make the MySQL database connection, so you have to include a libraries. Two main libraries are important. One is MySQL driver and one more is MySQL connector. These two are the jar files you want to add it. Otherwise, it will not connect to a database. It will throw an error. So these two jar files you want to add it. Otherwise, this import also will not take. Okay, before writing this code, first add the jar files, then write this code. Okay, fine. So now let's move on to the servlet register. Servlet register. Here we will write logic now. Okay. Now, see, in this one servlet, you can write many logics, many conditions you can write. Like you can write the logic of register also, login also, logout also, and some other contact also, everything you can write. So we have to differentiate that thing, right? From which page it is coming. So for what module the logic should work. So we have to differentiate it. So for that, I am writing a if conditions. If condition I'm writing. One is I'm making use of this request object, request dot get parameter of submit. I'll take submit not equal to null. Why I'm writing this condition? As I've told, this is the first condition. So here inside this condition, I'm going to write a register code. Again, next session, I'm going to tell you about the login. So again, for that login, again, no need to create another servlet. So in this servlet only, you can write the code for the login also. How you can write? Again, you can start with the else and login code you can write. Some requested get parameter, what is the name you have given for login. So that thing you can write. Again, for logout also, no need to create again another servlet. So in this register servlet only, you can write the logout also. How you can write? You can write another else if. So like this, you can increase this if, else if conditions. By making use of these conditions, you can write the code for all the modules. Okay, that's why I'm using the if conditions. So first if condition is for register. Now, what is the submit? Where is the submit? See, come to the register.jsp. See, this name I have given, right? For the button, for the register button, I have given a name called submit. And this submit I have not used till now. I am using it in a servlet. So this submit, I am making use it in this servlet by using a get parameter method. By using this request object, I am calling a method called get parameter. So this is the parameter name. So the name is submit. So here if you want, you can give any other name. For example, I will give submit 1 year. So if you give submit 1 year, just write here submit 1. That's it. But the name should be same. Whatever the name you have given for the button here, so the same name should be there here also. It should be matched. And it is not equal to null. Yes, definitely it is not equal to null, right? Because this input class name submit is having some value registered. It is not equal to null. It is having some value. Means it is clicked. It is having some value and it is clicked. Okay. So that's why it is not equal to null. Yes, true. It will come inside this. So now I have written a if condition, means that button is clicked and it is not equal to null. So it will come inside this condition. Now this next step is I'm going to take all the values typed in this JSP to the servlet. Okay. So for that also I'm going to make use of a request.get parameter. In the similar way, request.get parameter of what is the first input field I have entered? Name, right? See, name is equal to name. These things we have to take this value we have to take to a servlet. So that's why in the last class I have mentioned this name is important for two reasons. One is for the form validation and one for taking the values from JSP to a servlet. This name parameter plays a very good role. Okay, so name, and this name I'm storing it in a one string variable, right? Okay, the first input field what I've typed is, see, name I will type Divya. Okay, so whatever I have typed this Divya, on clicking register, what on means after submitting, means like after all the validation. So whatever I have typed here Divya, it will come to from this JSP, it will go to the servlet. So how I'm taking it as, by using request.get parameter of this name parameter, I am taking to a servlet. Similarly, we will take all the values. I'll just copy paste it. Okay. Next, what is the next input field? Phone. See, whatever the name parameter I've given, that only I have to take again and again. I'm saying, don't make mistake. And the variable name, see, variable name is already defined. So I'm giving it as phone. Next is email. Email I'll take. Email. Next is password. PW I've taken. PW. Next is CP. Okay. Now I have taken all the input field values from the JSP to the servlet by making use of this request.get parameter, and I have assigned these values to a string variables called name, phone, email, password, and confirm password. Now in the form also, like front-end validation we have done for the password and confirm password, right? So password must be equal to the confirm password. This is the front-end jQuery validation we have done already. So now we have to do this validation again in the backside also. Backside in the sense, in the servlet also, I'm going to do the same validation. For that, I'm writing a condition if. See this variable, I'm comparing password, PW variable password dot equals is a method in Java. If PW dot equals confirm password, then only I am going to write a logic like it will insert into a database, else it has to throw some error. So that's why I'm writing if else condition. So the same front end validation what I have done here, I'm doing the same thing in the backend also, in the servlet also. So if password and confirm password matches, then only I will write a method to insert these values into a database. Otherwise, I will throw some error that is in the else condition. I will write it. Okay, fine. Now I have to pass these values to a model class registration 1. So how I can pass? I have to call a method. So first I have to create a method here in the registration 1 class, and I have to call this method in a servlet, and I have to pass these values into the method. Okay. So for that, in order to make use of this Java class inside this servlet, I have to create an object first for the registration class. So the syntax is registration 1, right? Class name. Object, I will give it as reg new registration 1. This is the syntax of creating an object for the registration class. Okay. And I'm passing the session object also. So here error is coming, session. So you cannot find symbol variable session. So we have to create an object for that session also. So for that, I'm writing the HTTP session request.get session. By making use of get session method, I am going to create a object for the HTTP session. See, error is coming, import, add import to Java HTTP session. Error went, right? So by making use of this get session method, I have created object for the session, and I am passing this object to the class called registration 1. Now, one more error is there, cannot find symbol class registration 1. So it is asking for add import model.registration 1. Yes, registration 1 is under the model package, right? See, that's why it is asking for import. Click on the import. Now all the error went, right? Two things I've done. One is I have created a session object, and I've created object for the class registration 1. I have passed this session object to the registration 1. So whenever this object is created, the constructor will be invoked first. So where is the constructor? See, the constructor I have written, right? That's why I have initially I have passed a session object here. Okay. If I remove the session here, it will throw an error. See, constructor cannot be applied to given types. Here it is, you can show here required HTTP session, because in the constructor I have added session object, but here I am not passing the session object. That's why it is throwing a error. Okay, session object, why I am passing from servlet to the constructor is so that I can initialize here and I can make use of this session variable in this page. Fine. Okay, next is, okay, by making use of this object, registration 1 class object, I am going to call a method that is reg dot method name. I will take it as a register itself. Okay, reg dot register. What the error is showing, cannot find symbol method register. Yes, in the registration class, there is no method called register. That's why it is showing the error. Now what I have to do, go to the registration class and create a method where I have to create all the methods should be inside this registration 1 class itself. So be careful about the brackets and all. So inside this bracket means this is the main class registration 1. all the methods should be under this registration one class. So that's why constructor I have written inside this. So after this bracket, see yellow you can check. Okay, input brackets yellow to yellow is one function method. So after that, enter and write another method, that is public. Public is a type string. What is the method I have called? Register. Okay, I have created a method. Return some status I will return, because for a function or a method should return some value, right? So status, it is showing error, cannot find symbol. Since it is a string, the function return a string value. I am taking the status variable as a string. Okay, this is the first step. Now you can check here. See, error went. I am calling the method of the register of the registration one class by making use of this reg object. So this register method I have written in a class called registration one. Yes, I have written, and I have returned some string variable status. Then I will assign the output of this method, the return value of this method to, again, for some string variable called stlt. Okay, it is, this method is returning a string value. That's why I'm assigning the output to a string variable st. Now method is ready. We have to pass the values, whatever we have taken in the string variable, to the class. How to pass this? We have already created a string variable, and this variable, all the values are there. So just pass this as a parameter to a method. Name, phone, email, and password. Confirm password is not required because we are not storing the confirm password in the database. We have taken confirm password only for the validation in the servlet. That's it. Okay. Now error is coming because C cannot be applied to a given types, no arguments. Here in the servlet, for the register method, we have 4 arguments, right? 4 parameters I have passed. But in the registration one class, there are no parameters here. That's why, so different types. It is showing the error. No arguments. See, differs in length. Actual and formal argument list differ in length. So now what I have to do? Again, these 4 variables I have to add as a parameter here. Then we have to write a data type also. So all the 4 variables are string. That's why I'm taking it as a string only. First parameter, and parameter, whatever you have passed here, it should be same here also, not name I'm saying. If you're passing name as a first parameter, here also you have to hold the name only as a first parameter. Okay, this thing you can, names you can take it different also, not an issue. Next, second parameter is, I'll take name only. Second parameter, I'm passing it as phone, string phone. Next, third parameter is email, string email. Next, fourth is password, string password. Okay, see now the error went, right? Because for the register method, I have passed 4 parameters, and here in the registration one class also, for the register method, I have handled the 4 parameters. That's why error went. Okay, now here we have called the method and we are storing the output in the st variable. Now come to the class. The class, what we are going to do? Yes. So here in the class, again, as I have told, so every method we will write it with a try catch so that if any error is there, it will be printed in a console. So I'll start with a try catch. Okay. Now, what is the first step now inside this method is we have to create a statement. Okay. I have to create a statement. For that, what I'll do, statement interface, I'm giving the references st is equal to con.create statement. Yes. Okay. To access the database, I need to create a statement. So for that, what I'm doing, I am making use of the con object and I am invoking a method create statement, and as I'm assigning the reference to a st. Okay. So this line means to access your database, I am creating a statement. This statement is used to access the database. So PetHub database I've created, right? To access this database, first step is to create a statement. So this statement is created by making use of this connection object con.create statement. Your statement is created now. Okay, now you can able to access your database. First step. Next. Now the second step is by making use of this statement object, you can query a database. So what is the method for that? Statement dot execute query. Okay. By making use of the statement object, whatever we have created. So I want to query a database. So I have to write a query. I have to send a statement to our database so that I am making use of this statement and I'm calling the method execute query. And inside this, we have to write a query. And whatever the result of this query, I am storing it in a result set. RS I will take. Okay. So whatever the query I have sent, so the result of that is stored in a result set object called RS. Fine. So the first step is creating a statement by using con object, and I am by making use of the statement object, I am querying a database by using a method execute query, and the result of this query I am storing it in the result set object called RS. Okay, fine. Now I'm saying like querying a database. So what is the query now I'm going to write now? First step is we have to check like whenever I'm going to register, first we have to validate whether that user is already registered or not. Okay, for that I'm checking first. Select I'll take select star or some ID I will take. Only one column, you can check for one column only so that the performance will be very high. So if you check star, simply it will scan like all the columns. So that's why if you check only one column, it is fine. Or else you can check star also. Now I'm going to check only one column. Select ID. From which table? Table name is user data, where phone. What is the column name? See, only one phone number can be registered. The same phone number cannot be again registered. So that we have to throw an error like user already exists for this phone number or user already exists for this email ID. So there should be unique phone number or email ID. That's why I'm checking here for the phone and email. Okay, this is the column name phone. And what is the value of that phone number? See, whatever the user has typed the phone number, it is stored in this variable, right? It is stored actually in this variable, and I'm passing the same variable to the class also. So in this phone, whatever the user has typed, that value will be there. So I want to check those value now. So since this is a query and this is a Java variable, I have to use like this single quote. Since it is a string, single quotes I am using. If it is not a string, single quote is not required. Again, inside double quotes, plus phone. So this is the syntax of making use of Java variable in the query. Okay. This is the phone. Now we have to check another one important column name, that is email. For that, or I will use or. Now what is the column name is email. Email is equal to same. What is the email user has typed? I have to take this and I have to check for that column. Single quote, since it is a string, single quotes is there. Otherwise, you can remove single quotes for integer. Email. Okay. This is the query. What is the meaning of this query? First, I am checking whenever the user fills all the data and whenever the user clicks on submit, I am checking whether that user data is already there in the database or not. One validation I am doing. How I am doing, whether the same phone number, whatever the user has typed, either phone number or email, if any one of the thing, if any one of the column is already there, then I have to show a message like user already exists. So for that, I am doing a validation and I'm writing a query like this. And the result of this will be stored in a result set object called RS. Okay. Now the result is there in the RS. Whether the phone number or email exists or not, it will be stored in the RS. And by making use of rs.next, rs.next means if any data is there, so we will fetch that data. So if any output is there, we will fetch that data. So it will be stored in the rs variable, rs object, the data is stored. And if any data is there, we have to fetch it, right? So for that, I'm checking if rs.next. And I'm assigning that to a Boolean variable called Boolean B. Okay. Next, if condition I will write, if B, yes, if it is stored, means if it is already there. If Boolean B means if it is true. If it is true value, then only it will come to, if otherwise it will come to else, right? So if the phone number or email already exists in this table user data, so it will return true. So it will be true here. Boolean I have taken. So true it will return. So if of true means it will come inside. I have taken the status variable. For that status variable, I am assigning existed. Okay, some value I am assigning. Okay. This is the first validation I have done. Whether the user exists, means user in the sense, whether the phone number or the email, whatever the user has typed, whether it is there in the database or not. First, I'm checking if it is there. So I'm assigning some value to a variable called status called existed, so that this status I will make use in the servlet. Again, I will show it next. No, if it is not there, he is a fresh user, he is a new user. This phone number and email is not there in the database. So now what it will return, rs.next will return false. So if a false means it will not come to if condition, it will come to else condition. Now what I will do, now I will write a insert query. So if it is not there in the database, definitely we have to insert those data to a database, right? So now we have to write a insert query. Okay, so now we will write again the query for inserting the data to a table. So for that, you can use the same statement called create statement, as I've explained before. The statement only you can use, or I will show you one more statement called prepared statement. So prepared statement, you can check the difference between the statement and prepared statement. So statement, normal statement, it will accept only the static parameters, and the prepared statement will accept the dynamic parameters. And the one main important thing in the prepared statement is it will accept the input parameters at runtime. Okay, I will show you what is the meaning of that. So I'm just showing, like, you can use both the statement also and prepared statement also. Both the things I'm showing it in a single code. Okay, how to create a prepared statement. Prepared statement and the variable PS. See, similarly, con.create statement you have created, right? Like that, con dot prepare statement where it is. Yes. Some error it is showing. What is that? No suitable method found for prepared statement. Okay, I'll check with the typecast and I will do. Okay, so double quotes was missed. Yes. Okay, I have created a prepared statement. So I'm creating a statement to access the database. So at runtime, so I'm making use of this prepared statement. And inside this, I'm going to, so here first I was creating a statement and I'm querying a database by using that statement object. But here I will write the query here itself. So at runtime only, it will accept the parameters. So that's why inside this prepared statement only, now I'm going to use a query. So this is the difference between statement and prepared statement. Okay, now what we are going to do here, we are writing an insert query. So what is the syntax for that? Insert into table. What is the table name? Is user data values. So this is the syntax for the insert query. Okay, now we have to pass the parameters. So as I've told, we can pass dynamically the parameters and it will accept the input parameters at runtime. So that's why we will see how we can pass the parameters. First column is ID. So ID column is Z. Since it is a integer and primary key, we have to pass always 0 for that primary key. That is the first column. Now, second, how many columns are there? Name, phone, email, password, and date. Right? Total 5 are there. So question marks I will. This is called as a placeholder. So it will accept the parameters at runtime. This is the use of prepared statement. Okay. See, I'm not passing directly this name, phone. See, like this, I can pass phone, email, the Java variable I have told, right? I've explained before. So like this, I can pass directly here if I use create statement. Now I'm using prepared statement. That's why I'm passing a question mark and I'm assigning these values now down. I will show you how to assign. But you have to check how many columns are there properly. See, total 5 columns were there. Sorry, 6 columns were there. In that first column is ID 0 I have passed. And other 4 values are dynamic values. That's why question mark I have given, 4 question marks I have given. And the last column is what? Date. For that date, I am going to directly, not question mark, directly I will pass it as now, means the current date and time. Whenever the user got registered, current date and time will be stored in this column, in this place. No need to pass question mark for this. Already now function is there in a MySQL. So I have made use of the now function. So now all the column names are proper. Now, how to assign the values for this column? By making use of this prepared statement object PS dot set string. Okay, set string. For the first question mark, first question mark, you have to write 1. What you are going to assign for the first question mark? What is the column name is? Name. You have to pass the name to a first question mark. Okay. First is ID 0, you have already mentioned. For these question mark, for these placeholders, you are going to assign a value now. Okay, for the first question mark 1, since all the 4 are string, I am going to use a set string method. If any integer is there, you can use set int instead of string also. So 2 methods you can use. Now since all are string, I am using set string only. First question mark is name. So I'm passing this name here. Second question mark. Second placeholder is phone number is there. Phone I will pass. Third is, so you have to write 2 here. Means for the second question mark. For the third question mark, email is there, pass email, and for the fourth question mark, password is there. So password you have to pass here. Okay. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to start only for the question marks, not for other columns. Other columns have already filled with 0 and now. Only you have to consider the question marks numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4 question marks are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 question marks. I have assigned a particular value. It is related to a database column name. Okay. Now I have passed the parameters. Now we have to execute it, right? So previously also, like I have executed a query by using execute query method, right? So similar way, since that is a select query, I have used execute query. Since for insert, delete, update and all, we have a method called execute update. So what object I've used? Prepared statement object I have used ps.execute update. Now that query will be executed. Okay. I have written a query inside a prepared statement. I have passed the parameters and I'm executing that prepared statement object. Now the query is executed. And the result of that, I'm going to store it in a one variable integer. So result will be always in a numbers, like one row inserted, one row updated. So like that integer value will be there. So that's why I'm assigning the output into a integer variable called a. Okay. Now the data is inserted. So I will take some status. So here I've taken, right, if data is already there, status is equal to existed, I have taken. Similarly, if it is inserted, how we will check? If a greater than 0, right? Means a greater than 0 means if it is inserted, definitely one row will be inserted. So in the a variable, what will be the output? 1 will be there. So 1 is obviously greater than 0. That's why I am assigning the status variable as success. Just to check in the servlet, I'm just assigning some value to a status variable. Else, if it is not inserted, if some error is there, then it will not insert, right? A will be all again 0. So it will come to the else condition. So that's why I'm assigning the status variable as failure, and I am returning the status variable to a servlet. So wherever the method has been called, right? So to the same, the control will go to here only. Here only it has called, right? Register method is called here. So it will come here. It will execute all this. Either if or else will be executed. If it is inserted, definitely success will be there. If it is not inserted, failure will be there. Whatever the status is there, it will return back to the servlet and it will be stored in the st variable. Okay. Now the work of this method is done. Hope you guys have understood. This method is done. Now we will see what will happen when the control comes back to the controller servlet. Okay. Now whatever the output is, the status variable output, it is stored in a st variable. By making use of this st variable, we will show a message to a user whether it is successfully registered or failure is there, or the user is already exists. We have to show some message, right? We have to show some message whether it is success or failure. So for that purpose only, I've taken a values in the status variable. Now we will check those things. How we can check? If st, the output will be in the st, right? If st dot equals total three values are there actually. First we will take, what is the first value? Existed. Okay, if existed is returned to the servlet, what will happen? We will write a code here. Else if one more is there, right? Two more are there. What is the second status? Success. If it is success, what should happen? Again, else if. What is the third status? Status is failure. Okay, total three status are there. If it is already existed, what message we have to show? If it is success, what message we have to show? And if it is failure, what message we have to show? We will we have to write a code. Now we have one more concept. Okay. We have to show the message in the JSP, right? So whatever is there, whenever this is submitted, whatever success or failure message we have to show in this JSP, successfully registered and all. So what I have to do, I am making use of this session object again. I'm storing all the sentences or messages in this session attribute by using a set attribute method. Got it? See? We have a set attribute set and get attribute method in the session. Okay. By using a session object, I'm calling a set attribute method, and I will write message here. What message I have to print if it is existed? Sorry, not sorry, user already exists. This is called, this double quotes, this is called as a session variable name, and this double quotes is called as a session variable value. So by making use of this session variable name in the register.jsp, so I'm just printing the value. So this value, whatever is there, it will print in a JSP. Here I will show how to print in a JSP. So that's why I am adding this message, user already exists message, to a session variable name called message. So this is called as a session scope. So this session, you can use it throughout your project, throughout your website. So until you log out. So once you log out, your session will be destroyed. It will not work. So until you log out, you can make use of this session variable anywhere, in any JSP. So that's why. So this session variable session scope is important. Okay. Similarly, you can use request attribute also. That is only for a single request. But this session, if you use, you can access throughout your website until you log out. That's why I am making use of a session attribute also. If you want, you can check it for a request also. Instead of session, you can same syntax is there. You can write a request also. Request.set attribute. Okay, fine. This is called session. Similarly, I will add for other conditions also. But the messages variable name is same, because either any of the one condition will be satisfied, right? At a time, any one of the one condition will be satisfied. So the variable names are same, only the messages are different. Now I will change the message. Success means registered successfully. Message name I have changed for the success, and for failure, registration failed. Okay. So now I have added all the messages in the session variable called message for all the conditions I have added. Now, how to, so after the data is inserted, whether it is inserted or success or failure, how to navigate back to the register.jsp. So for that, we have a request dispatcher. Okay, request dispatcher, and one object I'm going to create RD request dispatcher. So we have a method called get request dispatcher. Okay, get request dispatcher method is there. Yes. It is asking for a import, just import it. By making use of this request object, I am calling a get request dispatcher method, and I'm assigning that reference to a RD. Okay. And by making use of that RD, I am forwarding that to wherever I want. Okay. This is the syntax for that. See, get request dispatcher means after this completion of this, till here it has completed, right? Where it should navigate? It should navigate to some page, right? So now I'm going to navigate to a register JSP only. So whenever the action is done, based on the conditions, whether it existed, success or failure. So I'm assigning the message to a session variable. Then I'm dispatching the request to some page. So where I'm dispatching, I have to write that page name here. So after successfully completed or failure, so I am going to navigate or dispatch the request or forwarding the request to a register.jsp. So for that, the request dispatcher is very much helpful. Similarly, same way I will copy paste for other conditions also. Okay. Now, for all the conditions, it will go to a register.jsp and it will take some message also. Fine. Next, this is whenever the success in the sense like whenever the password, I've already added the condition. If password dot equals confirm password, then only all these things should happen. If it doesn't match, then what should happen? Again, it should throw some error message, right? So same I will copy paste. Message I will change to password mismatch. This we have already done in the front end validation, but still, if you do one more validation backend, it is very much useful. It will be very good. I will navigate to the register.jsp only, and I am storing the message as password mismatch in the else condition. Okay. Now the work of servlet and class is done. Now how this message will be displayed in the JSP, I will show you. The register.jsp, go to register.jsp. You check where you want to display. So now I'm going to display above this box. So this box is there at form box above this wrap class. So I will display above that wrap. So see here, wrap class is there. So in above that wrap class, create a div. I will create some class name as message. Okay. Now I'll show you one important thing. This is called as a Scriptlet Tag. Okay. If you want to use a Java code in a JSP, you have to make use of this Scriptlet Tag. This is called as a Scriptlet Tag. Now I'm going to write a Java code. Now I'll write a condition if brackets open and brackets close. If session.set attribute I have used right here. Session.set attribute. Now, if I want to get, I have to use session.get attribute. Session.get attribute of variable name. What is the variable name I have taken? Message. If that session.get attribute of message, if it is not equal to null, means there is no null value, it has some value. Yes, obviously it is having some value, right? I'm passing some value to the message variable. So it has some value, it is not equal to null. So it is not equal to null, it will come inside this if condition. This is the Scriptlet tag. I am printing that message in the h1 tag or span or div, whatever you want, you can print. I am printing it in a h1 tag. How to print it? Again, you have to use a expression tag here. See, if equals is there, then it is called as a expression tag. If equals is not there, it is called as a Scriptlet tag. Expression tag is used to print a message, Java variable message if you want to print. So expression tag is tag we have to use. Now, how to print a message? Where the message is stored? This user already exists message. Where it is stored? It is stored in the message, right? Message variable. Session.get attribute of message. Simple. Okay. Session.get attribute of message. If it is not equal to null, means it is having some value, it will come inside this if condition and it will print the message, whatever is stored in the message variable. Okay, so this is the way how you can print the messages, success or error messages in the JSP. So this is the way how we can make use of this session. So until you log out, so in the message variable, the value will be there always until you log out or the session is destroyed. Next. So we will design this message class. Message class, I will show you once it is done. Message, see on this like In the center, I want to print a message, and in red color, I will print. Okay, so for that, color red, let it come in red, and I want it to print in the center. So text align center. Okay, now everything is done. So we will check whether the code is working fine or not. First, clear the output console. Whatever the output will be there, it will be there in these two windows. You can check it. Just clear the console before you run. Okay, I've already run the project, so I'm just refreshing. We will check how this module works now. Click on register. Yes, form validation is done. Validation, it is asking. So I will type Divya, phone number, email ID, password, re-enter password. Now I will click on register. Yes, registered successfully. How it is coming registered successfully? Whatever the values I have typed here, right? I have typed and click on register. First validation happened. Validation is fine. So the control comes to the servlet. Whatever I have typed, it has taken in these variables, and these variables have passed as a parameter to a register method. And first I'm checking whether in the user data that phone number is exist or not. Obviously, this is the first registration, right? This is the first registration. So you can click on the query and you can execute it. See, one row is inserted. ID 1, first user. So first ID is 1. Divya I have typed. Phone number is fine. a@gmail.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And date is current date and time. It is story. Okay. Since phone number and email was not there, so it has not come to the if condition. It has come to the else condition. This query executed and it is inserted. So since it is inserted, say one row is fetched, one row is inserted, right? So one is there in the a variable. 1 greater than 0, success is assigned to a status variable, and it has success values returned back to the servlet. The st success is there, so it will check for the condition. So success dot equals existed, no. Success dot equals success, yes. It has come to this condition, and the value is assigned to a message variable registered successfully, and it is dispatched back to the register JSP and printed a message registered successfully because I have written the code here. See, session.get attribute of message registered successfully is printed with the design I have given, read and text align sent. Fine. Okay. Again, I will show one more condition for this if condition, how it will work. This one. Same phone number I will give, so it should not insert now. Okay. See, this session variable is still there. Still, I have not cleared it. That's why registered successfully is again and again coming. Okay. Why? Because I have not cleared this session. See, the session, it will be always printing. If I clear that message variable, it will not come. So until you log out, like it refresh, it will be always coming. It's okay. I'll try with another phone number. Same phone number I will try. Email ID I will give different. Okay, now the same already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 is already there in the database. Again, I'm trying to register with the same phone number. It should not take. See, user already exists. It has not inserted. You can check in the database. It has not inserted. See, only one row is there in the database. It has not inserted again. b@gmail.com is not inserted because the phone number already exists. That's why it is showing the error. User already exists. Okay, so this is regarding today's session, the backend implementation of registration form Okay, complete validation and all I've shown. So just check out this session. Okay, so this is about today's session. So similarly, we will do a login form design, login validation, and login implementation in the next further sessions.
Hi guys, hope you are enjoyed the session. Do follow me in Sukshmas for more questions, MCQ as well as the e-notes. If you are beyond knowing participant, try to alter my code and options, then post it as an MCQ on Sukshmas platform to get very good quality bonus points. Practice well and see you in my next session. Thank you all.